So one is if you want to regulate the on and off ramps, right, kind of the fiat world into the Bitcoin world, that's where I think regulators will most likely go first. But when it comes to Libra, it's very easy. They can look at the corporations. Those corporations want to be good stewards of the jurisdictions in which they operate. And so if you want to, manage Facebook or other corporations, that's fine. But again, Bitcoin and Libra are very, very different. And that's an important difference.
The EU is going to look at antitrust concerns but once again, it's Libra. The G7 is coming up. There's a working group from Japan, one from France, but both seem more focused on Libra, or am I wrong about that? Or is there a risk to Bitcoin? Is there an overhang to Bitcoin based on what they're going to say at the G7?
Yeah, so I think that many people in the market will, whatever they say about Libra and Bitcoin, they'll kind of lump it all together. But I do think that difference is very important. One way to look at this is in less than a decade, there's a decentralized digital currency that went from, basically the fringes of the internet to now is being discussed at the G7 and other regulator offices.
Just being discussed there is
10 years.
I asked Pompeo about it. That's something. I asked Mnuchin about it. Trump has tweeted about it.
It's really, really important, right? And then the other piece is when it comes to Libra, to talk about like anti-competitive behavior, you're talking about 27 plus corporations today. They want to get to 100. It's going to be really hard, I think, to label anti-competitive behavior when you have 100 plus institutions that are all working together to do something. And so I think that it's going to be interesting how this all plays out. But again, a decentralized digital currency like Bitcoin has very different properties and is going to be treated much differently than Libra.
Let's talk mass adoption, because that's the next step a lot of people are looking for. And there's little glimmers of things happening. So Friday, Backed getting approval from regulators for futures on Bitcoin that aren't settled through cash or settled through Bitcoin delivery. People say this will get the eye of institutions and bring more mass adoption. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I definitely do, right? Again, every single week we're seeing more and more infrastructure built around Bitcoin and the crypto markets in general, whether it's infrastructure around the hash rate and the mining, supporting the security of the network, whether it's backed with the physically settled futures. The more infrastructure that's built around this, the more likely it is to never go away. And I think that we're at a tipping point now where Bitcoin is here to stay, and it's going to end up being in every institutional investor's portfolio at some point in the future.
These stock-to-flow models that we've talked about, if you believed just in that it's 95% correlated so far, and you look at where gold stock-to-flow is 62, and the next halving in May of next year would put Bitcoin near there, that's a staggering figure to say that it indicates a much higher price. Mm-hmm. What could get in the way of that happening? Would it be regulators? Would it otherwise? You've got if it's so well known that that's where the price should be at the next halving, why isn't it closer to that price? So we're talking about something like 55,000. Is it real? Is it something to really take seriously?
So I think there's three components to this. One is regulation could definitely hurt in the short term, right? It scares people away. So that's one thing to watch. Two is there's still a lot of people who don't even know what Bitcoin is. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand why it's valuable, right? So the number of people who own Bitcoin is still a very small percentage of the world population. And then the third piece is it's still difficult, right? So even if people say, I want to buy some Bitcoin, they've got to go and get a Coinbase, a Gemini account, and they've got to do some work to get there. It's not like just calling up your broker and buying a stock. And so I think that friction is still keeping some people out of the market. Friction is going to go down. People will become aware of it. And I think regulation will get worked out. And ultimately, I think more people will end up getting exposure to this asset. And so that'll be a net benefit to Bitcoin over a long period of time.